when you are writing some if block or a function, you will be using this curly braces, right? So whatever the particular code that comes inside this block will be belongs to that if or that function, right? So but here we don't use such codes. Instead of that, we will use white spaces for indentation, which is at the beginning of the line. Okay. Let me show you. Like instead of curly brace, we'll use just a space. Okay. So if you don't follow that indentation in Python also, it will throw a error. Let me create a simple if statement. I'm creating two variables and defining the values. Let me give 33. Okay. If, so I'm giving the if statement. If I'm asking B, let me say it is greater than A. So can you see here? Even if I don't give anything, by default, this editor is assigning the um, indentation by itself. I just click enter. So this colon, right? This colon should be mandatory. It even if you don't give that, it will create a syntax error. So for if condition, for loop, while loop, or even if you are creating any function in Python, at the end of the line, this colon is necessary. So this is colon is which the start of the indentation. So after this colon, if you click enter, can you see some automatic white space is the beginning? So this space is called indentation space. That means whatever you type after this will belong to that particular conditional statement. So let's say I will print one simple statement. Um, Let it be like this. Okay, now I want to come out of this indentation means I just give backspace. So I'll just give a normal else part, or I will also try if, like if I am giving else, I don't give any condition like this. If you have to give the expression, okay, and in else part no expression should be given. Else part, it's like else, other than, if that not works out, else do this. Don't check for any conditions in else. This is the syntax of else. Always you should not give any expression or condition in else. So I'll just print like this. So now I run it, else part will work. So if I want to add another one condition, I can give L if. So L if is like a combination of both else and if. So this is like just to check another one condition. Let's say I will also check if A is lesser than B. Okay, so if you want to add multiple condition, you can add any number of elif in your code. Okay, and else you can add only when you don't have any other option. Just to do that particular item, you can do this. Okay, and one more thing is, you can have if and elif alone without else. Okay, and without elif also you can have the other two blocks also. So, but without the if statement, the both elif and else, you won't be able to do that. It will create a error. Okay, these both conditions or these both statements are dependent on if. So if can be an independent one, but not elif or else. Okay, without if, elif and else won't be working. Now let me give some value. And so whatever loop is working, it will work fine. Okay, so as you can see, A and B or whatever statement I have given, at the end I have given the colon and it follows the indentation. Okay, if I don't give any indentation, it will create a error. Okay, and let's say you can also have operators in your condition. Like you can check multiple conditions in the same if condition. Let's say I just give age and I'll give input function. So as I said, input function by default stores in the form of a string, right? So I don't want it. I want to store the number in integer. Either in the next line you can do type conversion, or in the same line just give int and put the whole input function inside the int function. So whatever is coming out of the input function will go through this function, and again it will be considered into integer. Okay. Now I just want to check if age, let me say, less than 18, and I will also give equal to 18. So you would have learned about and or operators, right? And means both the conditions should be true, then only that particular if statement will be executed. And if I use this keyword or, either one of the condition is true also, it will work. Okay. Instead of this, if I use the keyword and keyword, so the keywords you can change, the color is changing, and this is for function color. Okay, and this is for keywords. So these are all keywords, and means both the conditions must be true, then only this condition will work. So I'm giving or, and then I'll just print okay, and I can add else. Like this. So you can add and or expressions in the same if, or else let me give you one more simple example for that. So let's say I have I'll use some library here. Okay. So the library means, as we discussed, right, there are some inbuilt libraries in Python which will make your work easier. So one of the library is called random. Okay, that module name is called random. Module means you can imagine that as a collection of ready-made functions, one group of functions together form a module or a package. Okay, so I want to use one of the function inside that module. Okay, so what I have to do is, first I need to download that module. So the keyword will be import and the module name, which is random. Okay, so this is similar to like hash include studio.h or conio.h. Like you will be like downloading input output related functions, right? Similar to that, this is a random module which will have some ready-made function related to this particular topic. Okay, now what I'm going to do is there is a function called rand int, that for short form, and full form is random integer. So what the function will do, I give one range, like starting range and ending range. Between that range it will give me one number randomly. Okay, that's the purpose of that function. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to create the um, prime numbers here. Let's say I'm creating a variable called a, and instead of getting it from the user or storing it initially, I'm going to use the function. So how will you use the function inside a module? You have to give module name dot function name. So if there are some options that are coming, right, these are the inbuilt functions that are available under this random module. So I'm going to use this rand int function. Okay, I'm giving the ranges, let it be 1 comma 6. Okay, so when I try to print the value of a, every time I run this code, different values will be randomly printed, like, but only one value. Okay, this time 4, I again this time 6 and 2. It's kind of print one time it will store one value randomly. It can be repetitive also, still it's random. So instead of printing that, I will put condition here. Now we have a variable which is having some random value. We don't know what value that is. So what I'm trying to do, I'm just adding some condition. If a is let's say equal to 1, I'll just print as, and if a is equal to 2, for other numbers it must be odd number. So you can give directly else. I just want to print the number at the end. So I'm just giving the value also here. So whatever number is assigned, whether it's even or odd, you can also check like this. So that means you can check multiple conditions on the same elif or else statement. Okay. And now we'll go for loops. Any questions or doubts? So we'll start with loops, which is you can use. There are two types of main loops available in Python, which is one is while loop and the other one is for loop. Okay. So what is this loop? What it will do, right? It will execute a set of statements. Like as long as the condition is true, it will run that particular number of statements a number of time. Okay. So let's see how to create a while loop in Python. Let me go with one example. I'll creating a variable called I, giving the value as 1. Calling the loop while I is less than 6 I. Okay. Now, if I leave like this, obviously this condition is true, right? I value is 1, 1 is less than 6, and it will print that 1, right? This is a form of a infinite while loop. Infinite while loop means what is a while loop will do? Normal one, it will execute the statement as long as the condition is true. But what if the condition is never false, and what if the condition is true always? That means the execution will not stop at any point of time. It will keep on running, right? This is one kind of example. So the I value, what, how many times the loop run? Every time it run, this condition will be always true because I value is always 1, and it will keep on printing the output so and so the one it will print number of time. So what is a way to stop these kind of loop? One way is you can stop manually. You can interrupt the execution manually and stop the loop. But be aware of using such while loop, infinite while loops in your code. It has a chance to crash your OS. Okay. And let me just give some value so that like this. So what I'm trying to do, every time I'm running the loop, I'm printing the value as well as I'm incrementing the value of I by 1. So how up to I is equal to 5, it will work. So, and it will stop after that. Okay, but the current I value is 6. It will not print that value because when I value is 6, the loop condition is not satisfied, so it will not print. It doesn't print that. Okay, it will print till 1 to 5, but the value of I will be 6. Okay, now if I don't give this statement, now let's say I will create one more while loop, which is infinite while loop, and I will show you without manually interrupting your program, how to stop such kind of while loops. Okay, so I'll give the same example. Let it be one. So I'm not giving this statement. That means this print is going to run forever. So I want to stop this infinite while loop without interrupting my code manually. So in that case, what you can do is you can use a break statement. Okay. The break statement, by using that, you can stop the loop even if your condition is true. Okay. So you can accompany the break statement always inside a if condition only. So you cannot use it like directly. You can do a if condition and then you can apply the break. Let's say if I value is equal to instead of this, what I will do is let me create one more value. Let the I be 1. I'll check the condition as I is greater than 0. Okay. And I'm incrementing the value here. I plus equal to 2. Okay. So now I'm incrementing inside my while loop. So incrementing means the value of your variable will keep on increasing, right? That means whatever value the I can have, the value will be always greater than 0, right? So the loop is not going to stop. It will be always running. It's like a forever loop, right? So let's say I want to stop this loop. Now I can show you what I have to stop this manually. I have to let, if doesn't stop, I will close the spider app and I will open it. Let me run it. I don't want to print. Let me try also. See, within second it is going. So this is how you stop your infinite while loop. Within like few seconds, not few seconds we run, and one time the loop run, it will just increment the value by 2. That means not multiply also. It is just adding 2. So just check the speed at which the loop is running. Within seconds, it has reaches this many big value. Okay, so it will go on forever. So I have interrupted. So I don't want a loop like this to be left out. So instead of that, I want to stop this loop at particular point which I want. So in that case, I will give a condition here. If I value reaches let's say 50, okay, I will increment it by 1, because 1 then it will go for 3 and 5 and it goes like odd number kind of thing. I'll just give 1. So I am incrementing the value of I by 1. It will add 1 to that particular value. So I just want the loop to run only 50 times. So I am giving, whenever I value reaches this 50, just apply the break statement. And after that, coming out of the loop, I will just print the value of I, because I don't want to print the value of I every time, like for 50 times. Now you can see just the value is 50. The loop has also stopped. Okay. So you can use this break keyword accompanied with the if condition only. You cannot use it like without that. And you can use it to stop even if the condition is true. Okay. And there is one more similar condition statement which is called as continue statement. Okay. So break statement, what it will do, it will stop the loop while condition is true, right? This continue statement, what it will do, it will stop the, it will not stop the loop, it will stop the current iteration and it will continue with the next line inside the same loop. Let me give you one example. So I'll use the same kind of example. I'll create a while loop when I is less than 6. So I'm giving iteration here as 1. Okay. So obviously every time the loop will be incrementing to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. What I'm trying to do is, if my I value is reaches 3, at that part I will give continue. Okay. And I will print the value of I. So what will happen here? I value is 0, right? First time when the loop is running, 0 less than 6, yes, it will true, it will increment. Okay, and this condition will not be true when I value is 1. So this code will not happen. Okay, this particular part will not happen. So again it will again increment, again it will increment, it will keep on incrementing, and when it reaches 3 it will do that. So when it reaches 3, what is happening, this particular part where we have given the print statement of I is skipping, it is skipping that particular iteration, and it is again continuing that loop only. Okay, so that means like I don't want to print the I value when the I value reaches 3, or let's say I can give another some execution also here. Okay, so I have given the continue statement, that particular point is skipped, and again the next iteration 4 is happening, 5 is happening, and the loop is ending. Okay, so break statement, it will totally stop your while loop. Okay, what this will do, that will stop the next iteration, whatever is after the statement, it will skip that, only for that particular iteration it will skip. Okay, and again I is equal to 4, that print statement is working, I is equal to 5, print statement is working, only for I is equal to 3 it will skip. Okay, and in else loop also, sorry, in while statement also you can add the else, let's say in the same thing, I'll use I is equal to 1, and I'll just print I, and let me also increment by 1. Let's say I want to print some message when the loop exits. Okay, so I is, so else can be not only used in if condition or elif, sorry, and that part you can use it also here on a while loop, as well as in your for loop also you can use it. Just after my loop is exited, I just want to print some message like this. So it will print up to 1 to 5, and it will also print when the condition is failed and the while loop is exited, then this else part will work here. Okay, so any questions or doubts, guys? While loop, infinite while loop, break statement, and continue statement. Are we good? Shall we continue with the next for loops?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay, so here next starting with for loop. Um, for loop, it is like used to like iterate over a particular sequence more. There are like two types in which you can use the for loop in Python. Okay, so one is with using the range function, the other one is without using range function. Okay, um, for loop we will be usually mainly used in data structures. We will be using to iterate over every item inside my data structure. Obviously you will use the for loop. Okay, so now we will see like range function, using range function how we can use the for loop, and then we'll see without using range function. Okay, without using range function it will be mostly used in the data structures. Okay, now let me show you with the example of a range function. So what is this range function means? um let's say in range function you will obviously give some range as a input, starting range and ending range. Okay, what it will do, it will return a sequence of number within that particular range. Okay, by default the numbers inside the range will be incremented by 1. Okay, and whatever the ending range you give, let's say I am giving the range as 1 to 50, it will print from 1 to 49. The last number will not be considered always in the range function, it will not consider that. Okay, now let me show you how to use the for loop using the range function. So this is the syntax for I, X, Y, A, B, anything you can use. Normally you'll use I or X. So for I in range, let me give the range as 6. Okay, so here I have given the range only one number. Okay, if you give only one number, that will be considered as a ending range. Okay, by default, if you don't give any starting range, it will take from 0. So it will take from 0 to 6. Okay, Okay, now let me print the value. So what will happen between 0 to 6, the I value will be, so the range is here 0 to 6. That 0 to 6 number will be replaced here and it will print the value. I told you again, the ending range will not be taken into account. So the range is 6, but it is starting from 0, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up to 5, it will come 6 numbers, right? So that only it will print. 0 to 5, whatever you are specifying as the end index or end range, it will not be considered into account. Okay, and let's say if I am giving 2 comma 6, okay, that means values between 2 and 6, values from 2 to 6 that not include 6. So 2, 3, 4, 5, that only will be printed. Okay, so this is like mentioning starting range and ending range. As I also said, right, by default it will increment the numbers one by one, but I don't want like that. I want to increment it 2 by 2. In that case, what you can do is, let me say 2 comma 30, and I'll give 3. So this third number which you are entering, that will become the increment sequence. Okay, now when I run it, every number the difference will be 3. By default the incrementation will happen 3 by 3. Okay, and in here also you can use the else, like if I want to print some statement after my for loop has been completed, or I want to execute some other code, you can do that like this. Okay, and there is one more thing, like let's say I want to create a for loop, but I don't want to do anything inside that for loop. Like I'll just do like the same 1 to 10. Okay, I want to create an empty for loop just for a namesake in my code. I don't want anything to do with the for loop. See, it is showing us a syntax error, unexpected end of file. Okay, so there is one way in which you can create a loop with empty. For loop by default it should not be or cannot be empty, but for some reason if you have a for loop with no content, right, just add a keyword pass. Okay, so that means it will allow you to create a for loop with no content. This will avoid you getting an error. So it will not give you any error, as the same time it will not give you any print output also. So this is how you can create an empty for loop with no content. This pass statement you can also use it inside a function like empty function creation. Okay, that we will see in our activities post lunch. Okay, and any questions or doubts? So for loop without using range function we will be using in the data structures, that I will explain you when we have started the data structure concept. In all the data structures we will one time use this for loop. Okay, so let me copy this. Okay guys, you can like try it out on the same on your spider for some time. Just have a hands on and let me know if you have any questions.
So range can have only integers or floating numbers as well?
No, integers, whole numbers.
Okay. So how do we traverse through an unstring something if we have to find out using a for loop? Is there a way?
Uh, can you come again? Like what exactly you are asking?
I mean, in a string, if we have to find a character and if we are using a for or a while loop, is there a way to
Like
do it?
in a string, like within name, you just want to find out whether a particular alphabet exists or not, like that.
Right.
So that is the case. Let me share my screen. You can have there is a another keyword in Python which is in and not in. Okay. So let's say I have a string. I'm having a string as apple. Okay. So I can
Yep.
for I, and so if I give like for I in A, let me try to print I first. So every item will be printed like this. This is like for loop without using the range function. So, and you ask like if you want to find out the existence of some particular alphabet or not, you can use simply that in and not in. So I can just check. I just want to check the alphabet E exists in my string or not. So I'll just check E. It's a string, right? So I'll just give E in A. I'll just put it in a print statement. So the output of this in and not in keywords, it will be like either true or false, whether that particular item is present in your string or whatever, like list or array or whatever you want to check. I'll just give true if it is present. And if I try to print, let's say yes, and it'll print false. And in the same time, I will use not in. So this is a true statement. Yes is not in A. Yes, that is true. Yes is not present in A. A in the sense my variable A. So it'll give true or false. This is a way that you can check whether a particular alphabet is present in your string or not. If you want to go through like every item in your string, you can also use like just give it, store it in a variable. Or this is what I'm going to tell you in the data structure part without using range function. You
Okay.
can iterate over through the every, like if you are creating a list with some numbers or some mixed and you can go through every item in your list using for loop. You can print them, or inside this also you can check whether that particular item is present or not, or it is there or not. You can check it.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.